Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, is this really my life? You wake up every morning, go through the motions, and yet something deep inside whispers there's more. More to who you are, more to why you're here, more than the bills, the deadlines, the routines that seem to swallow your soul. You feel it, don't you? That quiet ache in your heart that doesn't go away no matter how much you achieve, how much you try to distract yourself, or how hard you pray for something to finally change. Maybe lately you've been tired. Tired not just in your body, but in your spirit. The kind of tired that sleep can't fix. The kind of tired that makes you question if God still sees you. You've done your best. You've kept faith through storms, smiled when you wanted to cry, stood strong when everything around you seemed to collapse, and yet silence has been deafening. You ask, God, have you forgotten me? Why does it feel like I'm stuck while everyone else is moving forward? My friend, if you're hearing this, it's not an accident. There are no coincidences in the divine plan. You are the chosen one. And right now, heaven is whispering directly to your soul. It's time to awaken. Because what you've been calling delay, God calls preparation. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. And every single tear you've cried was counted, seen, and sacred. You see, we live in a world that glorifies speed. We scroll faster, work harder, and compare deeper. But your spirit, the divine part of you, moves by timing, not by trend. And maybe that's why you've been feeling like you don't fit in. You're not meant to. You were never meant to walk the same road as everyone else. You carry something rare, a divine frequency that doesn't align with the noise of this world. But here's the truth. When you are chosen, you will go through chosen challenges. When you are marked for divine purpose, you will be misunderstood. People will question you, doubt you. Some will even walk away. But that's not because you're unworthy. It's because God is protecting your purity of purpose from those who can't yet understand it. Take a deep breath. Right now, in this moment, let the noise fade. Feel your heartbeat. That's not just life, that's divine rhythm. That's your reminder that you're still here because your mission isn't finished yet. Maybe you lost something recently, a relationship, a job, a dream. Maybe life's been unfair. But listen closely. Every loss that brought you to your knees also positioned you to rise higher than before. Every closed door was divine mercy in disguise. Because the truth is, you were never meant to live an ordinary life. You were meant to inspire, to heal, to shine light in places where others gave up hope. And if you're watching this, you already know that deep down. Something in you is stirring. You can feel God gently nudging your soul, saying, my child, you've cried enough. It's time to stand. This is your awakening. This is your reminder that God never left you. He's simply been waiting for your heart to quiet down enough to hear him again. So before you scroll away or get distracted by the noise of the day, stay here with me, because what you're about to hear next might just shift your entire perspective. God is not silent. He's been speaking through the pauses, the delays, the discomfort, and now he's ready to show you why your path looked the way it did. You are not behind. You are becoming. You've probably had moments lately when you felt like your prayers were hitting the ceiling, when you whispered to God in the darkness, and the only sound you heard back was your own heartbeat. You wondered if heaven went quiet on you, if somehow you'd fallen off God's radar. But listen, silence does not mean absence. Sometimes silence is the sacred classroom where faith grows. Sometimes when you can't hear God, it's because he's teaching you how to trust him without proof. And trust, real trust, is born in the waiting room of uncertainty. You see, chosen ones often walk through long stretches of stillness because their purpose requires spiritual stamina. Anyone can have faith when things are going right, but you, the chosen one, are being refined to still believe when everything feels wrong. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of faith that transforms generations. Let's be real for a moment. In today's America, life feels heavier than ever. The news is filled with fear. Families are stretched thin. People are working 2 jobs just to survive, carrying invisible burdens behind polite smiles. The world says hustle harder, but your soul whispers, rest, child. You're not meant to do this alone. And maybe that's exactly what God's silence is trying to show you, that you were never supposed to carry it all yourself. In the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Let those words sink in. They're not just ancient scripture. They're a living promise, a divine invitation to breathe again. You see, in the quiet, God isn't ignoring you. He's inviting you closer. He's pulling you away from the noise, the scrolling, the opinions, the chaos, so you can hear his whisper again. Because his voice isn't in the earthquake of your anxiety. It's not in the fire of your frustration. It's in the still, small voice that says, "Be still, my child, and know that I am God." Maybe lately you've been questioning everything: your worth, your direction, your purpose. You've been asking, why me? Why does it always have to be so hard? But what if instead of asking, why me, you began to ask, what for? What is this moment preparing me for? Because that shift, that single question, turns pain into purpose. You are not being punished. You are being positioned for something bigger than you can yet see. Think of a seed. Before it breaks through the soil, it spends a long, dark season underground. No light, no movement, no applause, just silence and pressure. But under that soil, life is stirring. Roots are growing. Strength is forming. And one day, the seed doesn't just rise, it blooms. That's what's happening to you right now. You're in the hidden season. It's not glamorous. It's not loud, but it's holy. Because when the world can't see you, heaven can. And every hidden moment is sacred training for what's coming next. So if you're tired of waiting, if you feel forgotten, if you're on the edge of giving up, hold on a little longer. Because the breakthrough always comes right after the breaking point. And the silence you hate today may be the very soil where your next miracle is taking root. Take this moment to breathe again. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stay open. Because right now, even in your uncertainty, God is writing something new. He's shaping your heart to receive the blessings that your old mindset couldn't hold. You are not behind schedule. You are being aligned with divine timing. And the waiting you've been resenting will soon make sense when you see what God was protecting you from. So don't rush the process. Don't fight the silence. Rest in it, because your silence is not empty. It's sacred space where your faith learns to breathe again. Stay with me, my friend, because in the next part, I'll tell you a story, a real story that mirrors what you might be feeling right now. A story about a woman who thought her faith had failed until she realized her waiting was the foundation of her miracle.
Let me tell you a story. Her name was Rachel. She lived in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knew each other's name and every season carried its own rhythm. Rachel was a mother, a wife, and a believer. She wasn't famous, not rich, not a preacher, just a good woman trying to hold her life together. Every morning before the sun rose, she packed lunches for her 2 kids, helped them get ready for school, and then hurried off to her job at a local office. She smiled to everyone she met, but that smile often hid exhaustion. You see, on the outside, Rachel looked fine, but inside, she was quietly breaking. Her marriage had grown distant. Her husband, Mark, worked long hours and came home tired, disconnected. They barely talked anymore. Just the routine, "How was your day?" before both collapsed into bed, too drained to pray together, too tired to dream. And even though Rachel believed in God, lately her faith felt like a flickering candle in a storm. Bills were piling up. Her car needed repairs she couldn't afford. And every time she prayed for breakthrough, life seemed to throw another curveball. One night, after another long day, Rachel sat in her car outside a grocery store. She had just finished shopping, but instead of driving home, she just sat there. The car was quiet. Her eyes were filled with tears she couldn't hold back anymore. She whispered, "God, I'm trying so hard. I'm doing everything right, but why does it feel like you're so far away?" No thunder, no sign, just silence. She gripped the steering wheel, exhausted, whispering again, "I can't keep going like this. If you're really here, please show me something." And then, not in a loud voice, not in the wind or the noise, but deep in her heart, she felt a simple whisper, "Be still, Rachel. I'm working even when you can't see it." The next morning, something unusual happened. As she walked into work, her boss called her into the office. Her stomach tightened. She thought she was in trouble. But instead, her boss said, "Rachel, you've been here for years, always steady, always helping others. I wanted to let you know there's a new position opening up, and I think you'd be perfect for it." The promotion came with a raise, flexible hours, and the ability to work from home 3 days a week, something she'd secretly prayed for months ago, but had almost forgotten. That day, as she drove home, the radio played softly, and a verse came through the speakers. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they weren't from exhaustion exhaustion. They were tears of recognition, because in that moment, she realized something powerful. God had never been silent. He was simply arranging things in the unseen. Every delay, every tear, every lonely night was part of a divine setup. Over the next few months, things slowly began to shift. Her marriage, once fragile, started to heal. She and Mark began praying together again. Her home felt lighter, her spirit stronger. But here's the most beautiful part. Rachel didn't just receive a blessing, she became one. She started a small women's group at her church. Just a few moms sharing coffee, talking about life, and praying for each other. And through that little gathering, lives began to change. Broken hearts were healed. Faith was reignited. Hope returned. Rachel's story isn't just hers. It's a mirror for every person who's ever felt forgotten, unseen, or overlooked. And if you're listening right now, that mirror is reflecting you.
Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go deeper into that realization when the chosen one finally begins to understand their calling, their identity, and their divine mission on earth. That's where the transformation begins, and where heaven's whisper turns into purpose. There comes a point in every chosen one's life when the question shifts from why me to for what purpose. And that's where you are right now. You've walked through storms that others would have given up in. You've cried tears that no one saw. You've smiled through pain that could have hardened your heart, but it didn't. You're still gentle, still kind, still hopeful, even when hope hurts. That's not weakness. That's divine strength wrapped in humility. You see, when God chooses someone for something great, He doesn't give them an easy path. He gives them a refining path, because gold must pass through fire before it shines. And your fire has been your training ground. Everything you thought was breaking you was in truth building you. You've been learning resilience, empathy, and faith, not by accident, but by design. Every disappointment was stretching your heart to hold more compassion. Every loss was pruning your life so new blessings could grow, because chosen ones are not called to live ordinary lives. They're called to carry light in dark places. And light is only recognized when darkness surrounds it. Listen closely, my friend. The reason you felt different all your life, misunderstood, isolated, too much, or too sensitive, is because your spirit operates on a higher frequency. You see things others ignore. You feel things others dismiss. And you carry a divine awareness that doesn't fit into shallow spaces. That's why people drift away. That's why certain environments no longer feel right. That's why your old habits suddenly make you uncomfortable. It's not that you're broken. It's that you're evolving. You are being spiritually upgraded, and everything that once felt comfortable no longer aligns with your new vibration. Because when God calls you higher, He won't let you stay where you used to be. He will pull you away from what numbs your soul so that you can awaken to what nourishes it. And yes, that can be painful, but it's sacred pain. It's the kind that transforms you from the inside out. Let me tell you something powerful. The divine calling on your life isn't about being perfect. It's about being available. God doesn't need flawless people. He needs willing hearts. He needs people like you, people who've known suffering and still choose compassion, who've faced failure and still choose faith, because your scars are your ministry. Your wounds are where God's light shines through. Remember the words of 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Do you feel that? It means you don't have to be the strongest, the smartest, or the most successful. You just have to say, here I am, Lord, use me. Because when you open your heart, even a crack, God rushes in with purpose. He turns pain into wisdom, fear into courage, and delay into divine direction. You see, the world measures success by status, but heaven measures it by surrender. And when you surrender, you shift from surviving to serving. Maybe you've been feeling a stirring lately, that quiet sense that there's something more you're meant to do. That's not random. That's your spirit responding to your divine assignment. For some, it's a calling to speak hope into others. For some, it's to create, to write, to paint, to build something that carries light. For others, it's to raise a family with faith at its center. Whatever it looks like, your calling is unique and it matters. Don't underestimate underestimate the small things you do. Every kind word, every moment of forgiveness, every prayer whispered in the dark, it all builds the kingdom of God on earth in ways you can't yet see. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are right on time. And the very things you thought disqualified you are the same things God will use to lift others. You've been through enough pain to understand people's silent battles. You've been through enough waiting to know what real patience feels like. You've been through enough loss to truly value love. That's not coincidence. That's calling, because chosen ones don't just talk about light, they become it through their choices, their humility, their persistence, and their compassion. So hear this truth deep in your spirit. Your life is not random. Your pain is not wasted. Your story is not over. God is raising you up, not for comfort, but for calling, not to impress people, but to impact lives. And when the time is right, every broken piece will form the mosaic of your divine purpose. This is your moment of revelation, the moment you realize that the silence wasn't rejection, it was redirection, that every no was leading you to a greater yes, that the waiting wasn't wasted time, it was sacred time. You were not who you were 6 months ago. You've grown, you've endured, you've learned to listen deeper, and that means you are ready, because once you recognize the divine within you, you can never see yourself as ordinary again.
Take a deep breath, my friend. Let this moment sink in, because everything that came before, the pain, the silence, the waiting, has led you right here. Right now, something inside you is stirring, a quiet conviction, a whisper that says, it's time. And it is. It's time to rise. Time to stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as becoming. Time to stop apologizing for your light and start shining it boldly. You have spent years giving so much of yourself to work, to family, to expectations, but now God is calling you to give something even greater, your yes. Not a half-hearted yes, not a maybe when I'm ready, but a full, surrendered, here I am, Lord. Because once you say yes, truly yes, heaven begins to move in ways you never imagined. You may not feel ready, you may still be healing, but readiness has never been God's requirement. Willingness has. Remember Moses? He said, I can't speak. Gideon said, I'm not strong enough. Esther said, it's too dangerous. But God looked at them and said, you are exactly who I need. And He's saying the same to you. Step 1, release what no longer serves you. To walk in divine purpose, you must travel light. That means releasing the guilt, the fear, the bitterness, the old stories that tell you you're not enough. Those stories are not your truth. They are just chapters you've already outgrown. Forgive yourself for the times you doubted. Forgive others who couldn't see your worth. And then forgive life itself for being hard, because forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to freedom. You cannot move into the future if your heart is still chained to the past. Let go, not because they deserved it, but because you deserve peace. Step 2, reconnect with the divine daily. Chosen ones can't live on spiritual leftovers. You need daily nourishment, prayer, stillness, and gratitude. Start your mornings not with your phone, but with your faith. Before you check the world, check in with heaven. Even 5 minutes of quiet can shift the entire energy of your day. Whisper, God, lead me today, and mean it, because when you let divine presence guide your steps, peace will follow you even into chaos. You don't have to have perfect words. Sometimes your prayer can simply be, thank you, and in that gratitude, miracles begin to multiply. Step 3, serve where you are. You don't have to wait for a big platform to make a big impact. Start where you are. Love the people around you. Encourage someone who feels unseen. Speak kindness into spaces that feel cold, because every small act of love sends ripples through eternity. You are the hands and heart of God in your corner of the world, whether that's your home, your office, your community, or even online. Your life is your ministry. Your compassion is your message. Your resilience is your testimony. Step 4, walk in faith, not fear. Fear is the greatest thief of divine potential. It whispers, what if you fail? But faith answers, what if this is the moment I was made for? Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Faith doesn't bloom in comfort. It blooms in courage. Take the step. Start the project. Say the prayer. Make the change. Have that hard conversation, because obedience always precedes the miracle. And remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward even when fear is present. Step 5, protect your light. In this world, with its noise, its division, its endless distractions, your light will be tested. You'll be tempted to dim it to fit in. But chosen ones were never meant to blend in. They were meant to stand out. Protect your peace. Guard your energy. Be intentional with who you allow into your space. Not everyone can handle your growth, and that's okay. You don't need approval when you already have anointing. Keep your focus on the one who called you, not the crowd who doubts you. Step 6. Remember you're not alone. Sometimes, walking this spiritual path can feel isolating. But know this, even when no one seems to understand you, heaven does. There are millions of souls waking up just like you, across towns, cities, and nations, hearing the same quiet call. Rise. It's time. You are part of a divine movement, a generation being raised not by status, but by spirit, a generation that carries light into every dark corner of this world. So today, I'm asking you to make a decision, a simple one, but a life-changing one. Decide that from this moment on, you will live with spiritual focus. You will not be ruled by fear, by comparison, or by the noise of the world. You will live from the inside out, from faith, not frustration. Start today. Start now. Turn off the distractions. Open your Bible. Take a walk in silence and talk to God like a friend. Write down your dreams again, the ones you buried because life got hard, because God hasn't forgotten them, and He hasn't forgotten you. You are still chosen, still called, still covered by grace. Before this video ends, close your eyes for a moment. Place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That is not random. That is purpose pulsing inside you. Whisper quietly, God, I'm ready. I may not know what's next, but I trust you. Now take a deep breath and believe that heaven heard you, because it did. And from this day forward, walk differently, speak differently, live differently. Carry your light into every space you enter, because you are the chosen one. Not someday, not when you have it all figured out, but right now. If this message touched you, don't let it stop here. Share it, speak it, live it. And every time you doubt your worth, remember this truth. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared, and your best chapter is just beginning.